whatever you say that you get from the spirit realm or any other type of information called empirical evidence, at least the scholarship validates you to understand that you might know what the hell you're talking about. So basically, we do give a heavy scholarship and all for the simple fact that we're not necessarily in a type of movement where we're trying to get anybody to join anything. This is basically purely research, and what was supposed to happen was the black people that learned of us, and when I say learned of us, I'm not talking about just college education. Because one thing about it, I spent 8 years in college and learned nothing. But what I'm saying is, when I'm talking about the learned of us, I'm just talking about anybody that has an inquiry for higher knowledge. What we were supposed to have been doing in the late 80s and the early 90s is coming together with an intelligentsia. That means a research group, other than a group of people following people. Like cult members and stuff, where you following these particular people, and these people telling you not to deal with some other stuff, you don't need to be dealing with these people over here. What we needed was an advanced group of people to do research. That means put the pieces back together of our ancient history and our ancient mystery and our advanced sciences. Too often what had happened is, somewhere when we started getting this together in the early 90s, the government came in and they activated all these groups. And these particular groups, they activated, they came in and they introduced to the black community was to lead people astray. You get in these groups, and at first it's just a great thing, but then after 2 or 3 years, and you find out in actuality that you're being exploited, or somehow down the line the learning stopped, and basically you just ended up following this particular person spending an extraordinary amount of money. Then what happens is you leave these groups and you're disenfranchised. You'll either go back to the church, you'll either go back to, you'll either just basically say, I don't want anything to do with it, to do with this stuff. And what we didn't realize was at this particular time, we are very advanced that we need people to go out and do research. And some research is not necessarily even just talking about the academia and books. We're just talking about empirical evidence and stuff, whereas since 1996, we've done a whole vast study on how they basically emptied out the project all across the country. And we go to each, well at least I go to each city, and we got people missing all over in the project. We talk about, they came in Atlanta and the entire underclass system is gone. They literally wiped out the entire underclass, you see. And right under the people's nose, the people walking around like it's 1970, they don't even have a clue. And that's because the government has become so advanced until we're no match for them. We're talking about being subject. So what we mean by that is they come in and they give you some information that's 20 years old, and you're thinking this is the key technology, but yet they're doing things 40, 50 years up ahead of time. You would never catch up because your mind is not even programmed and trained to understand that this man is that advanced. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, he can go and do anything around you, and you will never catch on. And it's always 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, we're just learning about this stuff. Just like they got some black group, something Devil was telling me on the internet where some soldiers threw some rock or something, one soldier hit some officer in Alabama somewhere, and they killed up a whole platoon of these people, mowed them down. You see, we're just not learning about this stuff now. And that's the key, is because we're never aware of things because we don't ask the doggone questions. And we never challenge anything. We never challenge anything. And it's not necessarily just black people. America is that sophisticated. It's that advanced, so they even keep large populations of white people ignorant. Therefore, you're looking at them as a model, and you don't understand that they don't know nothing either. And this is the key, so they can rule over all of us by keeping the greater population ignorant. And in so many words, this is a great experiment. It's an experiment for Europe and the highest powers around the world. And they say this is an alternative land that we can do all types of experiments with. Exactly. And so, in so many words, we don't catch up in time to the point where these people can hit us because we're never on the offensive. We're always on the defensive. But what we don't realize is when they hit us, it might take us 20 years to regroup, even if we thinking that there's something to regroup from, but most of us just basically take the banging and just keep on. You see, and never really ask questions.